Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi, I'm Derek Van Dyke, editor, producer, and co-host of Super Deluxe Gamescast, also known as just SDGC, and also for Castle Bravo, a Godzillaverse retrospective. For today's Fun and Games side quest, I want to talk about the house in Fata Morgana. A fair warning, while this podcast does not contain any extreme content, what lies beyond the doors of the mansion are rarely for the faint of heart. Please look up a list of content warnings before your experience. There is a house that sits beyond dark, dense woods. The air in the foyer hangs thick and stale, motionless but depart for your passing. You step further in, the groaning and creaking of floorboards under your feet, a violation of the oppressive silence. Why have you come to this great lifeless mansion, forgotten even by the dust? Who are you? The maid stands before you, where you are almost certain she was not. She looks at you, the mossy green of her eyes the only break from her monochromatic skin, hair, and attire. She bears an expression that could be as amused as it is weary, but for the lifelessness in her demeanor. You are the master of this mansion, and it is time for you to remember. Guided by the maid, you will journey through the mansion, peering through each door at the many tragedies that have befallen the previous inhabitants across the centuries. Stories of jealousy, of isolation, of abuse, and of ostracization. It will be up to you to seek out the thread that weaves these stories together if you ever hope to remember who you are. The House in Fata Morgana is a gothic horror story in visual novel form. Every single aspect of it, from the narrative to the artwork to the soundtrack to the pacing to the character writing, come together to form this uniquely ethereal work. Visual novels aren't for everyone. Some people would even hesitate to call them games, and The House in Fata Morgana, with its single-digit number of meaningful choices to make, is not likely to sway that debate. But this enchanting and often heart-rending story is among my favorite in any medium. This anthology of stories, and the frame narrative that binds them, explore a variety of themes and often extreme subject matter. But at its core, the story is about the accumulation of trauma and how we as people react, change, and either break or persevere under that weight. The subject matter can often be difficult, and the resolutions frequently come with no silver lining. After all, we are purposefully peering through the history of tragedy surrounding this place. But the end of their stories is not the end of your own. As delicately as I can put it, without spoiling anything, The House in Fata Morgana is a test of its own themes. What comes after tragedy? What happens after all the doors are opened and the previous masters' lives are all laid bare before you? What do you do when that's over? And if the answers you seek are not what you wanted, or never come at all, the way each story of the anthology reinforces the mystery and uncertainty of that frame narrative drives tension all the way through the last of the maid's stories. But there is often life after tragedy, and finding purpose in that is the only way to make it in this world. If you can't tell, I'm extremely fond of The House in Fata Morgana. So much so that I bought the more recently released prequel and have been afraid to start it, worried that there's no way to live up to the original. It takes you through such a range of emotion and to such powerful emotional catharsis that I'll never be able to forget it. It is a beautiful thing, melancholic on the surface and seemingly impenetrable in its depths. But those who enter the house and fully commit themselves to its secrets are in for something truly unforgettable. Thank you for coming with me on this side quest. Happy gaming!
Are you tired of watching your beloved characters being tortured by careless authors?
Are you sick of feeling like they could have swapped out all of the painful action and the plot would remain untouched? Subscribe to Books That Burn, the fortnightly book review podcast focusing on fictional depictions of trauma.
We assume that the characters' reactions are reasonable and focus on how badly or well they were served by their authors.
Join us for our minor character spotlights, main character discussions, and favorite non-traumatic things in the dark books we love.
Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.